We are ready to talk about something important today, Brian, instead of the usual stuff.
Ooh, I'm not, I don't know if I'm prepared. Let's find out.
All right, we're going to talk about tariffs
Oh
because
yeah.
nobody else is.
No.
So I think, why not? And we're going to talk about recession because even before the tariff thing came up, Randy was saying that we're going to be going into a recession. Well, have a pretty good chance of going into a recession in the second quarter, or going to negative GDP in the second quarter, and that could spill into the third quarter, but that by the end of the year, things will be doing great. Well, Randy's theory, which is, published almost every single day, is that the tariffs will exacerbate that problem. And so the second quarter recession is pretty much 100%. The third quarter recession got more, or negative GDP got more likely. And in fact, there are now people like Jamie Dimon saying that the chance of a recession is up to 60% because of the tariffs.
Mm.
So the folks who were not in my camp with regard to just the amount of GDP that would be lost as a result of the government, contracts and employees, et cetera, being reduced, um, those people haven't seen a recession coming just based on that, as I was. But now they're saying, well, with the tariffs, there's only a 60% chance. However, what I want to do today with that long introduction, Brian, sorry, but with that long introduction, I want to take a look at Tesla specific, the impact that you and I together might come up with regard to Tesla's sales overall, not just the cars, overall sales in 2025, the rest of the year, with these tariffs. We might want to look at it both ways, like where they are now or where they're probably going to work out to be, something lower than currently. And then what about if there is a recession, the impact? So with that long setup, what are your general impressions?
So Tesla is better insulated from the tariffs than other companies. They're not immune. Elon said it himself. We will not come out of this unscathed. That was on March 26th. That was before we found out that we're going to be putting tariffs on uninhabited islands and absolutely everyone based on trade imbalance rather than tariff rates, which was a very misleading metric that confused absolutely everyone who looked at the big posters, because you look at the posters and pretty much everyone who saw them spotted a country and said, well, I know that one's not right. That can't be it. So what's really going on? The tariffs are going to drive up the cost of everything, of absolutely everything. Well, yes, but not Tesla cars. Well, that's great, but my budget for a monthly payment will be reduced if my cost of everything else has gone up. The Nintendo Switch was just announced. The Switch 2 pre-orders were supposed to start yesterday. They haven't started because they don't know what they can sell it for. It is imported. It is going to be subject to a very substantial tariff. So if overall affordability comes down, then the ability to buy something whose price hasn't changed also goes down. So that would be my concern for Tesla. I I know that it's gone too far. The tariffs have gone too far because I've seen over the last few days conservative think tanks publishing stories saying this is too far. And when they say it's gone too far, you've lost everyone. Uh, I don't understand the motivation. I've heard a number of stated motivations that collapse under the slightest examination. But I think affordability is something that everyone worries about. Even people who are comfortable still think about affordability. I know millionaires who only dine on the value menu because it's affordability. It's just what we do. It's kind of built into a lot of our natures. So I would be concerned that um, even if interest rates come down, which would ease payments a bit, that may not have enough impact. And we can see that because when the Model 3 got its 0% or 0.9% financing, whatever it was, it didn't result in a flood of new buyers saying, yes, this is more affordable. I can do it.
Okay, so your proposition would be that because overall prices would go up, similar to what we saw over the last 4 years, is that we would see pricing, overall prices going up. That I don't call it inflation, I call it price increases, because it's not based on money supply. It's just based on the fact that there's been an input which created a price increase, which is not something that creates an ongoing inflationary situation. So I just need to say that, because that is philosophically an underpinning of my channel, is that you only get inflation from two things: printing too much money or productivity going down. But price increases look like and feel like to the consumer the same as inflation, even if they're not technically Friedman, like inflation. So
We could just say disposable income will go down.
the amount of disposable income that you can spend is more limited because you have the same amount of disposable income, but everything costs more. I think of the way to say it. Okay, so that would be your assessment. What would Tesla's response to that be, do you think?
Oh gosh. They don't have many levers. They're already in the process of the ongoing, never-ending process of reducing costs, increasing efficiency. They're not going to say, okay, now we really got to get efficient. They've already said that. They're already full throttle on efficiency and cost savings. They could cut prices. That's all they could do, is reduce their margins to move more units. And they may need to do that, because if they don't get if they don't keep their volume up, they start losing volume pricing. There are economies of scale. There's a virtue cycle, and there's also a vice cycle. You don't want to go the wrong direction on the death spiral there, which we've seen with a number of manufacturers. In the 2000s, Stellantis, Fiat Chrysler at the time, had this idea: we're going to make one motor, one platform, and we're going to share it across so many brands that you don't even realize it's the same thing. So this motor and drivetrain is going to be a catch-all. It's going to be a little bit too powerful for the economy cars. It's going to be a little too weak for the bigger cars, but and as a result, nobody wanted these things. They were terrible. They were the jack of all trades and the master of none. They were not good. Jeep Compass in, I want to say, '08 had this, and it was a terrible, terrible car. So and as a result, the cost savings that were intended to be derived from this new platform never materialized. They never hit the volume points needed.
Right.
So what you got was a car that was all compromise and not profitable and not affordable. So you got to keep your volumes up. Tesla may need to trim margins to do that. And continuing with things like low financing is one option, but I don't think it has the same impact as just dropping the price.
Okay, so you said in the beginning that Tesla would actually be advantaged in this particular environment because the other car companies are likely, we don't know yet, because everything's still up in the air until May 3rd with regard to Mexico and Canada, but that the other car companies probably end up with a disadvantage in terms of their costs, because they make more of their stuff in Canada, Mexico, and quite frankly, drivetrains and transmissions in Japan, South Korea, and Italy. So how does that, would that give Tesla a potential advantage in terms of selling more vehicles coming up?
So if a if a Tesla is 50,000 and its rival is 50,000, and the rival becomes 60,000, and the Tesla stays at 50, maybe goes to 49, that would give Tesla a small edge, but it would give them a larger piece of a smaller pie. People would just be buying a lot less cars. It's unfortunate, but when the price goes up, people react accordingly. If you look at UK car sales since Brexit, they've never recovered because cars are just less affordable.
Yeah, actually, well, that's true here too. So, not typically, but a good year is 16 to 17 million, and we haven't really hit any good years for years. Anyway, so, all right. So the other thing is that we have this brand new Model Y, which is I mean, even Motor Trend had to agree. It was amazing. I was so shocked to see Motor Trend giving, I think we talked about that last week. So Motor Trend, everybody else is saying the Model Y is probably, well, you and I would say it is, along with the Model 3, the best vehicle in its class. And therefore, there would be a pent-up demand for it among Tesla owners, pent-up demand among those who have wanted to own a Tesla, but were waiting for the refresh. So how might that impact, even in a situation where there's, some kind of potential recession or less money to spend? Do you think that will continue to give a push or a positive aspect to this year?
100%. The Model Y is, and we've said this before, how do you increase sales of the best selling car in the world? Make it better.
Yeah.
Make it a better car. And there is a lot of pent up demand. I know people who bought a Model Y even 1 year ago who are like, boy, I'm really thinking about pulling the trigger on this. So there's that. The Model Y we're already seeing in China, very popular. China's a very competitive market. And yet this old American EV, it's not old. And it's really, I mean, you could say it's American, but it's made in China.
Yeah.
It is as good as anything on the market. It is still selling like crazy, and uniquely to the Chinese market, it is selling at a positive margin. I did have someone try and tell me recently, nope, they lose money on every car they sell in China. I said, boy, I'd like to see a citation on that, because they don't. They don't. Companies can't make billions a quarter if they're losing money. Well, they're definitely losing money on cars in Europe. Oh, and they're definitely losing money in the US. Guys, where's the money coming from? We know where the money's coming from. It's coming from everywhere. So the Model Y will have, I mean, I would say the Model Y will save the company, but I'd say the Model Y already did. It will continue to be the crown jewel in Tesla's money printing machine. But if we're talking about the future of Tesla, what we really need to talk about for 2025 is megapacks.
Right. Well, I was just going to just do two more things on the cars. Number one, we should be having Grok in the car shortly. I have always said I thought that would be a feature that would sell more cars, because having my mother the car, or whichever TV show you want to refer to, is going to be so cool for kids. It's going to be pretty cool for old kids like me. So I think that there will be more Teslas sold when we have a good, not a Siri kind of Grok, but a good Grok in the car that can tell us where the best steakhouse is, or we can talk to it about what the route is doing, or what the car is doing, or maybe even ask it what the stock market's doing right now.
For those who haven't tried Grok lately, it's gotten really good. This morning, I got a copyright strike on a video, which was just a Elon speech that had been cut down. And the claimant was some news channel in France. They do not own this. So I asked Grok to write my dispute statement, and it did a great job. And so I've gone ahead and by the way, on copyright strikes, guys, I will dispute 100% of them when I'm in the right, because if there's some like background music that got accidentally included, I'm not going to, fight about that. But there is no reason to, even though it's an old dead video at this point, I ain't giving you nothing.
Okay, so do you think Grok in the car will be a something that will motivate additional purchases?
No.
Okay.
I think it'll be wonderful, but no, because nobody gets it yet.
Oh, okay. Well, but it's something you will show. It's back to the word of mouth thing. If I get my new Model Y and I go home and I get my neighbor in the car and they go, well, that's really cool, and that's really cool. What? This thing can talk to you like that? What do you mean? I can ask it where the best steakhouse is.
Yeah, I don't see it being a sales benefit. I think it's a very cool party trick to do, but I don't think you can demonstrate the real benefit quickly enough for it to know.
Okay, so the last one would be, we are going to have, I think we will have unsupervised driver this year. Now it might be next year. Let's just assume that in August, 2 months after we do Austin, and they've got a lot of miles in Austin, and maybe in California or who knows wherever, that they say, okay, you can do unsupervised now in your car. The argument is not whether we will or won't. Let's just assume that it does happen in August. Do you believe that that will pump sales?
In your car and my car,
Yes,
unsupervised
unsupervised.
will hold on to your butt is what I say, because that's not a car anymore. That is all it is, a car. So anyone who wanted a car would be interested in that car, but it's now a whole other thing. So that would be like, and I know this sounds hyperbolic. I'm not joking. That would be like saying, oh, by the way, your car can hover now. It would be that you can also hover across rivers and, effortlessly. It would be that big of a game changer when unsupervised is in every vehicle, especially if Tesla is the first retailer to be selling them in the US. Hold on to your butt, Randy Kirk.
Okay. All right. So those are possibilities that will have nothing to do with recession, nothing to do with whether we're tariffed or not tariffed or anything else. It would just be a benefit compared to other vehicles that, and you're saying a hyperbolic benefit if it's unsupervised.
When you say a benefit, I feel like you're underplaying it
Right.
to such an extreme that it doesn't make sense. It will be the biggest thing since sliced bread, which, by the way, was the biggest thing since Betty White. I think it was about the same time.
So we have another division that is quickly catching up to the automotive division. Every single factory that we build to make 40,000 gigawatt hours of energy storage is the equivalent of
40 gigawatt hours.
Did I say what?
You said 40,000 gigawatt hours?
Isn't it 40,000?
That'd be 40 terawatt hours. That'd be too many.
Oh, 40. Okay.
It's 40 gigawatt hours.
40 gigawatt hours. Yes, there you go. 40 gigawatt hours. Each time we build a factory that can do that, it's the equivalent of about 300,000 Model 3s.
That's about right.
So we have one of those that's starting to spit them out now, and we have another one that'll start to spit them out probably shortly before the end of the year, maybe into next year. Will this be impacted?
Mm-hmm. So I crunched the numbers the other day based on 10.4 gigawatt hours deployed in Q1. And because these are LFP cells, I said, you know what, let's go crazy and use the 55 kilowatt hour pack size, which is what they were putting in the standard range Model 3s. That would have been 180,000. So times 4, I mean, we're talking 500,000 cars worth of batteries. You couldn't sell 500,000 short range Model 3s, but it's breathtaking to look at the numbers. Will this impact it? Yeah. And I think it's insane that we have such high battery tariffs when we don't have a US supply of LFPs to protect. There is no North American factory producing LFPs at a substantial volume yet. Tesla's working on it. Others are working on it. It's coming online. But I would have thought, if you told me they're going to build a second Megapack factory in North America, which we now know is going to be in Dallas, that they would have done it south of the border so that they could have export to, so that they could get it in without the big battery tariffs and export it to those countries. But it is entirely possible those countries do not yet represent a substantial enough market. And we know in the US, even with the 100% battery tariff on imports, it still makes financial sense. And as Tesla ramps their LFP production, it's just, first of all, as Tesla ramps their LFP production, they're going to get battery production credits of $10 per kilowatt hour. I think that applies even if they're not automotive, but for stationary. And on top of that, they're just cheaper batteries and they don't have the tariff. So will Tesla make some money off stationary storage this year? You can hate the cars all you want. You can give the cars away at zero margin. That even if we reduce the margin on automotive to zero, Tesla's going to make billions in profit from Megapacks this year.
Okay, I think I understood you, but just to be clear, so that because I was just a little bit, so you believe that there could be some impact from tariffs?
No, it's already baked in.
It's baked in already.
I believe it's already baked in. I don't think that the tariffs would say, look, I know we're already tariffing you 100, let's make it 120. I don't think that's the case. I think the tariffs come pull the bottom items up not just straight across the board. I do not believe there will be an additional tariff impact. I mean, on the steel, perhaps, but compared to the retail cost of a mega pack, the amount of steel in it is not the main cost.
I am also pretty sure we've had this, I don't know if you and I have had this conversation, but in dealing at this level with these utilities and making these contracts, they usually have clauses in them. Like for instance, maybe they have a clause with regard to the lithium market as it goes up and down. They might have tariff clauses as well. But overall, these are long-term relationships where both the seller and the buyer have to take into consideration some of these things that are going on, and where the utility, yeah, they don't want to spend another $100,000 or whatever, but they're probably not going to say no if the product costs more.
Tesla's been doing such a spectacular job of cutting their cost on
Right.
mega packs that I would not be surprised at all if their cost reductions outpaces any increase in tariff on ancillary bits and pieces needed to make it.
Probably. You're probably right. All right. Well, Brian, let's remind people again that you are off to China. And so next week, they'll definitely, if they don't want to watch your show this week, I can't imagine what would cause them to think that. But if they don't watch you normally, they should probably go over and subscribe and hit notify so they can be notified of your fun, the fun, exciting, and crazy things you're going to be doing in China.
It's the Shanghai Auto Show. I'm getting there a few days early. I've got some things lined up. There are over 100 EV manufacturers, some quite good, some not quite as exciting, but I'm going to cover as many as I can during my 10, 12 days there. And it's more like 13, 14 days. So I'll do what I can to keep you guys informed and find out what's going on.
Will your wife have to pay a tariff to get you back in the country?
She won't do it. She just
won't
won't do it. So it's been good knowing you all. Come see me in the Orient.
All right. So follow him at Futuraza, follow me, subscribe to us, do all those kind of things. You could even like hit the Patreon thing if you want to. That would probably make both of us really happy. Anything else? Any last words of wisdom?
No, I think you've covered too much already.
Already. Okay. Well then, to all of you out there, it's been great talking to you.